Alright, so today we're going to be doing, well, over the next couple of days, we're going to be doing the C4, well, actually, really only the 1984 air filter housing restoration, as well as the valve covers, which I don't have pictured right now because I've already started working on them. But basically, we're going to blast these all down so that they're down to their bare magnesium. Clean them up real quick and spray them and hopefully get a decent color match out of it. So I cleaned up, this area right here to try and get an idea, a better idea of what the factory color is. Just, because this is all dirty. But this is about what it should look like. Anyway, I partially am following a write-up by Joe C. on Corvette Forum. I'll have the link for that down in the description, as well as just kind of going on a whim and try my best to make it work. Because, well, the 84 is apparently a different color, at least from everything that I could find. And the usual suspects that sell the correct match paint just sell a Seymour nickel paint, to the best of my knowledge, which basically doesn't match at all. So we're going to be doing this, we're going to be doing these badges over, and we're going to be doing the valve covers. So basically right now it's just get the paint off. So we're going to head over to the blast cabinet and get working on them. I apologize for the fact that this is about to get really noisy. But basically, this is my blast cabinet. I got the valve cover in there right now. I picked up, actually, believe it or not, the plenum and valve covers for under $100. Simply because the ones that are actually on the car are still okay. The valve covers are really the worst offender. Per typical of C4s of this age, especially considering it's an 84 and 30 some odd years old. The paint on the valve covers is actually bubbling and flaking off. But I picked up this set for $20 and I picked up the air cleaner for like 50. So that way I could just take my old stuff, box it up, or if this fails utterly, and go from there. Just so you're aware, I'm using glass bead for this. I was informed that the typical aluminum material, which is basically sandpaper media, might be a little too harsh for this, which I can understand. It's magnesium, they're soft. But this is working pretty effectively, and I'll just give you a little quick show of how it works. I'm going to have to turn my vacuum on, so I apologize for the noise, but just watch and see how easy it comes off. Now, mind you, the valve covers were already stripped partially when I purchased them. I'm also going to show you what it's like to do to plenum, because that's the real factory material, and I'm curious how well this attacks it. But this is 80 grit glass bead, and I'm running about 90 psi on the compressor. So, let's go. So, this is the one I did already, and I never quite understood everybody that was saying, oh yeah, the castings are a really poor quality on the C4 valve covers, because I always thought, it looked pretty good. And then I actually media blasted it, and you can see, like, that's not primer or anything like that. That's all just casting flash, and really bad at that. It's all pitted and just overall actually a pretty poor quality casting. But we're gonna fix that. I got high build primer and self-etching primer, and we'll go over it and make it the best we can. But originally I was thinking, I could do a semi-gloss, make it look kind of pop. And then I thought about it. I was like, well, if the castings are as bad as everybody says they are, I'm not going to want to put that much work into something that you hardly see. So we're just going to do a high build, sand it down, make it look a little bit better, and then just do a textured finish, because I ain't dealing with making that work that well. So we're going to go from there. Yeah, so the factory paint is definitely substantially better than whatever was on the valve covers. But so we're slowly but surely plugging away. As you can see, that's obviously untouched. That's touched. It's partially stripped. We're getting there. We're about, I don't know, a third of the way through. But this is definitely taking much longer than the valve covers did, which is fine. It also seems to be not a lot better, but the casting on it's a better quality. So that's kind of cool, I guess. Alright, back to blasting. Well, I just thought I'd give you an update. I've been slowly blasting away. We got most of the top done. It's a little hard to see. The sides still have to be done. Probably makes it a little easier. So yeah, we're just chipping away. I will say, definitely more of a pain in the ass than the valve covers were. But the valve covers, when I got them, were also mostly stripped. So yeah, overall, still just plucking away. You know, we'll get there eventually. I mean, there's no real reason to be showing you everything. But yeah, once we start primering and all that stuff, then I'll show you. All right. So I just went through and started spraying the intake plenum badging, as well as I got a couple of coats of the self-etch on the valve covers. But yeah, so basically all I did was I just bead blasted these down, and I sprayed them with a cyanide flat black, which, as you can see, off the lettering looks pretty good. That's what I'm going for. And then all I did was I just took some 320 grit and went across the face, and then I hit it with some 800, and we ended up with that. And I think that looks pretty good. It's not perfect, but it's actually a little bit more polished than the factory one is, because the factory one's almost got a brushed finish to it. But I'm kind of liking that, so I just finished it with 800. I might hit it a couple more times, but I'm going to do the same to that one and call it good. I mean, this looks basically brand new at this point. So, cool. One more thing I will say, as far as trying to figure out the speckle texture to the valve cover, check that out. That actually looks pretty good. The color is not too bad either. Like, I'd almost just leave that like that. And that is this Krylon paint. Overall, that looks pretty good, and that texture is going to hide a lot of the imperfections in this valve cover, which there are tons. Now, I'm going to still hit this with the high build primer and just do a quick block sand down so that they're a little bit flatter, but that's going to hide a lot. And I think I'm actually going to be okay with that too. So yeah, I'm going to work on this guy now and sand down those letters so that we have them matching again, and we'll be in good shape. Just got a couple of coats of the high build primer on there. As you can see, it's kind of masking up some of the smaller imperfections, but these valve covers, they ain't perfect. I'll probably hit them with 300, 320 grit, something like that. Just, you know, get a piece in between the fins real quick and kind of smooth it out real a little bit, and then just lay that speckle color, the textured paint on, kind of thick, and hope for the best. But yeah, they really ain't the best finish in the world. It is what it is. It's can't fix a bad casting. Alright, I mean, I basically used this whole can of filler primer on here, so I'm gonna probably let it dry. I'll give it a quick sand, maybe hit it with one more coat of the filler, and yeah, it'll be what it is. For the record, this is the black I used for the crossfire badges, just in case you were wondering. This is another test sample that I sprayed with the textured paint, if it would focus. But yeah, overall, I'm pretty happy with that. Alright, so we're just gonna do a little comparison here, but just taking a look. Texture, pretty good. Color, we knew it was gonna be off, but honestly, it goes well with everything else under here. So I'm kind of I'm thinking I might be okay with that. You can see these are the factory badge and how it's a sort of brushed face, where now we got it all polished up. So overall, we're doing pretty good. I'm not even going to bother altering that color. I'm very happy with that. Yes, I just noticed on the back of the intake plenum here, there's a spot where it's not as faded, and that's actually a lot closer. So I'm pretty happy with that, honestly. This is gonna look nice. If only I could find one of these. I found one on eBay. It's all kind of beat up and broken though, and the guy wants like between that and shipping almost $100. Like, I still have all the pieces. It's just the plastic over the years has literally just started deteriorating. Like, that's not even like damage or anything like that. That's just the plastic, like literally from touching it and taking it on and off, just falling apart. It's yeah, 30 some odd year old plastic. It's gonna happen. Alright, so I don't know how much of my mistakes I'm gonna show, but I ended up having to strip the valve covers back down real quick in the blaster. I didn't bother the plenum because I never painted it to begin with. But basically I hit this with the skip sand, or the self-etching primer, I should say, which worked great. That stuck really well. It adhered great. And then I hit it with that high build primer to try and fill in some of the voids and stuff. And I don't know if I just got a bad can or what, but even with like just quick roughing up the skip sand, the self-etch primer, it didn't seem to bond at all. Like, I took nothing super heavy. Like, I put several heavy coats of that on, and I took 320 grit with the block sander and did basically 2 passes here, that, and was all the way back down to the non-sanded primer. And mind you, when I sprayed these, I sprayed them yesterday. They sat in here at about 60 degrees for a full 24 hours to let that primer build and then sand. And case in point, once I realized that, I was like, okay, well, I can't have that, because then I started taking my fingernail and just kind of rubbing it on it, and it was just coming right off. So I don't really know if I just had a bad can or whatever, but I'm just going to use the self-etching and then go over it with texture and call it good enough at this point, because for the fact that you don't really see these that much, and the fact that the part that you do see, which is the intake lid, really doesn't have too many imperfections in it, I'm gonna call it good enough. But I will say the self-etch does a really good job, because when I was bead blasting it, the top coat came right off and the self-etch stayed. Like, you can actually see some of the spots where there's still a little bit of self-etch left, because it bit in really well to the material. But basically, I'm just going to hit these with brake clean real quick, wipe them down, blow dry them off, and we'll get started on primering these back up. I had showed doing like the other primers and everything, but at this point in the game, I'm not going to probably even include those in the video, and it's just going to be from here forward painting. So I've gotten, a pretty healthy coat of paint on these guys, and honestly, I'm pretty happy with that. Just got to get the plenum. Hopefully 1 can's enough. The paint works really easy. basically what I was doing was I was just going kind of one pass really light until it just started to like set, and then I was coming back and going nice and slow, and I just kept doing crosses and straight lines to make sure I got even coverage all the way around. But it builds pretty nice as long as you stay about 12 inches away and just all the way across. I'll give you a little preview on this guy, how I was doing it, just so that you understand. But overall, pretty happy with it, and I think I get away with just one can too. Yeah, so all I'm doing is just a nice little, like that, just to get a thin coat on. And I'm just doing that all the way around to sort of get it with a nice, even, thin coat. And then I start going a little bit heavier when I come back across. And it's just working it like that. And obviously, you want to be extra careful on the finned areas because you obviously want to get them completely. But you get the picture. Yeah, so just for the record, one can isn't quite enough to do both, although I squeaked it out on the plenum side. It's a little thin in a couple spots. I'll probably pick up one more can and do the valve covers one more time, as well as the plenum, only because on the especially on this one, you can still see how some of the imperfections are still showing through, whereas on this one, where it was a little bit thicker, it masked most of the voids really, really well. So yeah, overall, it's coming together. I mean, realistically, this is it, aside for peel off the tape and put the badge on. But yeah, I'll show you that when that comes along too, I guess. And I thought I'd just add this part. Obviously, these are the valve covers, new badge, and I put the PCB grommets in. I'm gonna put the part number for this one in the description because this one fits. This one I don't think is the right size, and this is the PCV check valve side. I think this is too small. But this is the side for the breather that goes into the bottom of the air cleaner housing, and that one's definitely right because I had the other valve cover off to match it to it. But overall, yeah, I'm pretty happy. Now, just so you are aware, after I finished the last part that you saw painting, I did hit this with a second coat of the textured paint, just so that it kind of hid more of the imperfections. I mean, you could see them somewhat, but once again, this is covered under the air cleaner housing for the most part. And when you're looking at it, about like that. So overall, I'm fairly happy with it. I also did hit this with a top coat. I used high temperature satin clear coat, which actually knocked down the gloss a little bit. But the main reason why I did that was so that you're working on the car, you need to take this off. You get fingerprints on it, all you can do is just wipe it off and it'll come right off, instead of it getting into the paint and impregnating it like the factory one did. So now they're actually kind of sealed and protected. So yeah, overall, really happy with how it came out. I'll show you the intake, like the air cleaner housing next. So overall, we finished. So obviously this is the factory air cleaner, and this is what we ended up with. And overall, I think it came out pretty good. Obviously this one's a little bit lighter in color, but being that everything will match, I think we're in good shape. Obviously the air cleaner itself wasn't really too beat up, it was the valve covers that were beat up, but you can see there's some just wear from years of use on the sides of the intake there. Otherwise, I'm pretty happy with it. So, hope it helps someone. Otherwise, just, yeah, it is what it is. Figured I'd document it. But yeah, came out real nice.